All right, guys, let's dive into today's recap. It is Hump Day. That is Wednesday, January 30th. We have today and tomorrow left of January. And as you guys know, the account continues to climb, baby. Currently up $1,528 on the day. So, very happy about that. And obviously, I'm going to take that gain. But I did have 2 wins today, and I also for them. I want to make sure that you guys, of course, understand them, and you guys are all set, understanding about when I got in on these plays or why I got in on these plays, why I got out of these plays the time I did, and that's all extremely important. And of course, I want to show you guys P&Ls to make sure that you guys understand my credibility and I'm being as transparent as possible. That's something that's always important to me, that I'm always showing, of course, something to make sure that you guys are knowing that I'm trading my real money. If you guys do not follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me and join our Facebook page. We have a Facebook group. If you guys aren't part of it, just type in at Dekmar Trades and it'll be Dekmar Trades Stock Trading Team. We also have a fan page, Dekmar Trades, that I post all this information on as well. So, that's always very important to me, that I'm always posting this stuff. But let's talk about this. Let's bring this back. Let's go back to square one. What was my first trade of the day? My first trade of the day today was EYEN. Now this play, this doesn't look too profitable, does it? No, it does out real quick. But as we know, what? Early bird gets the worm, guys. And as you can see, EYEN did have a very nice climb and a very nice rip from $4 all the way up to $4.70. You guessed it. That's where I started hopping in on this play. So, how did I know to get in on this play? All it was I was awake. I was awake for it. That's all you guys have to do the majority of the time, and you guys will be able to make money. And I understand you wake up on the West Coast. No one wants to. No one wants to wake up at 4 a.m. on the West Coast. I don't like waking up at 6:30 on the East Coast. I get it, right? So but you have to do it if you want to make big profit. What do we have? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. We have positive results. So we have EYEN comes out with positive results. It's met its primary endpoints. You guys already know what I'm about to show you guys. Keywords look for in hot press releases. What do we have? We see that EYEN gets a huge gap up, goes right to $4, and I actually got filled at $4.10. It was a pretty tough entry to get into because there was a very big spread, and I was just watching it. It was actually, there was a $4 buy, a $4 bid, and the ask was all the way up at $4.10. And I was just watching. I just had my mouse ready, all the different possible entries, and I saw a guy come down to the ask at $4.10 with 3,700 shares, and I just bought him up at $4.10. So I got in on a pretty good entry. Then the stock spiked all the way on up, and I started adding to that position, so my cost basis came to $4.31. So my cost basis was able to come out to $4.31 on that play. But then, as we could see, what started happening, the stock started dropping and the stock started falling. And then obviously from there, I had to be able to lock out on that play, and it just, started getting a little bit uglier and uglier and uglier. Now, I did have a total, I believe, around 6,000 shares on the stock. And since I had, a good amount of shares, I was able to still make over $1,000. And a big part of my $1,000 gain right there was because I got such a good fill right around $4.10. And then I was, up, about $3,000 at one point when I was filled at $4.10, the stock was all the way up to $4.80, $4.90. But I really was expecting a break of $5 today. I was expecting a break of $5, and I was expecting a run up towards around $5.30. That was my ultimate sell target, at around that $5.30 area. Now, why did I want $5.30? Because, as I said, this was one of the best press releases I saw today. This is what I really enjoyed. This one I really liked. We have all, great keywords right here. We have positive. We have endpoints. It was on phase 3 trials. That's awesome. Positive endpoints on phase 3 trials. You guys can see it right here. Positive endpoints, phase 3 trials. I like it. I'm expecting this to rip more. So I said, hey, I got in. I'm getting in at the 430s. I'm expecting this to run all the way on up. But once the stock started dropping, I had to say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to make a $3,000 profit anymore. I was able to lock out with just, $1,000. Now, obviously, I want to show you guys my entries and exits right here to make sure, obviously, you want to back up everything with credibility. Make sure we're all good. Let me get this for a second. We got EYEN, awesome. So this was my EYEN then trade, and this is right here, so you guys can see this. And you guys could see right here, I got in on this play on EYEN at what? Oh, this is when I started buying a little bit later. I did get in at 410. I can also, again, I must have put the screenshot a little bit too low. Let me see. Oh no, here it is. Here it is right here. Excuse me. 410. So these are the entries. This is at 410 right here. So I got in at 410, 410, 410. Then I added at 450, 442, 449. So that brought my cost basis to 431. So again, getting in at 410 right here, that's where I was able to make some nice profit. All right. And then what started happening? The stock spiked all the way up to highs. All the way up to highs right here, all the way up towards around $5 to get out. Now, you could also be looking at, if there's any sort of confusion, you could be looking at this and you'd be like, Deck, didn't the press release come out at 7 in the morning? The press release did come out at 7 in the morning on EYEN, just a heads up, but it got halted until 7:30. And once it came out at 7:30, there was such a big spread that no one touched it. So I did get in at 7:42, about 42 minutes after the press release came out, because it was halted for 30 minutes, and then no one really touched it for about 10 to 12 minutes. And that's when I got filled at 409, 410, 410, then added at 450, 442, 449. Cost basis 431, sold at 450, 455, 450, and then sold at my entry. So again, just want to make sure that you guys got that, so you guys are all good. All right, so obviously, that's important to me that you guys of course see that, and that led to a little bit over a $1,000 profit on that play. But again, the only reason I got in on that, very simple enough. The reason I got in on that play was just because I woke up. And if you wake up, you're going to be able to lead to that profit. So that's the other screen, as you can see, $1,086 on that. So, just wake up early, guys. I'm telling you, so many people don't want to do it. I get it, but you know what? Sacrifice sleep for profit. It's going to pay off. All right, what else did I get in on to be able to make some nice profit? What else was I able to get in on today to be able to make some nice money? CODX. CODX, this was a big time winner. And guess what? You can look at CODX and be like, all right, there's some nice rips, some nice runs, but where did I buy CODX today? Again, in pre-market, baby. Again, I love buying these, CODX, or I just love buying pre-market plays. Where was I in on CODX? I was in on CODX at 260, 270, 264. That brought my cost basis to 265, and I sold all the way up at around 280 to 281. You can see if I actually kept on holding, I bought right here, I bought right here at this 260, and it actually spiked all the way up towards around $4. Imagine I kept holding. That would have been big money as well. And again, why was I in on this play? Same exact reason, guys. Wake up early. Press release on CODX comes out at 6:30 in the morning. It announces that it eliminates all debt. No more debt, right? It even came out with the press release, really blunt and honest, right here. No more debt on the balance sheet. People are like, oh, why is that good? Well, imagine if you're in debt. Imagine you have college debt. Imagine you have a mortgage to pay. Imagine you got rid of all that. You got rid of all your credit card debt. You got rid of all your college debt. You got rid of your mortgage. That's all free. That's all good now. That's a great sign for this company to be able to move on up, for this to be able to continue to climb, right? For this to be able to spike. So, what happened? Everybody went over to CODX. And that could be a reason why EYEN, even with its great press release, couldn't hold up. The reason why EYEN couldn't hold up today is because CODX brought in all the hype. CODX brought in all the activity. This stock brought in all the big-time volume over on CODX. So everyone was over there. And as we say, if you wake up and you see that CODX is spiking and you see that EYEN is dropping, what are you going to do most likely? You're probably going to play CODX. EYEN had a much better press release in my eyes, but at the same time, CODX just had more hype. It had more activity. Right? Think about it as, let's say, a party, right? Let's say there's one party that has top of the line, DJ equipment. There's lights. The setup and the stage is awesome. And let's say there's another party that has a decent setup. But guess what? All your friends and all your family and the people you want to hang out with, they're at the decent party, right? So you go over there. And the party that, was actually, going to be really fun and really crazy, everyone instead went to, the decent party just because they were going to have more fun there in the long run. It's kind of like, this press release, EYEN had a much better press release, but no one really went there because everyone else was already at, the decent press release. Everyone else was like, hey, you know what? that's an awesome press release on EYN, but the much fun, all my friends are over there. They're having a much better time, so that's kind of what happened on CODX. It kind of took all the hype, right? Kind of took all the hype right there. All right, so with that being said, this stock has gone on a very nice rip, but it did go up to what highs of what area? 220%. The stock was up 220%. And that's why the stock, started dropping back on down, right? It started dropping back on down because it's up 220%. It just can't hold that right now. Now, with that being said, it does have its 200-day moving average, guys, right around 260. If you want, right, this isn't a bad, entry for a possible bounce play right around this like 260 area. Because in the long run, this could possibly U-shape all the way back on up and get a nice hype. I would wait until after lunch hours. Wait to see if it can hold that over lunch hours in the next 3 hours or so, and then start U-shaping back on up. But at least 260s could be a nice area for a nice bounce play for this thing to move all the way back up in the near future. Right? Definitely a lot of hype. Definitely a lot of good time potential. All right. So CODX was how I was able to make some money. Now, where did I lose? Where did I lose today? What happened today? I lost on OCX. OCX is where I lost on. Now, again, this was my biggest trade. I bought 10,000 shares on this one. And this is the one I really wanted to get a nice big breakout on. This is the one I really wanted to see a nice big rip. And why was that, guys? Because OCX is a previous top gainer. It came out with such a great press release yesterday talking about having successful results. We have successful results, 90% sensitivity. We're on track to do everything we need. We have positive results right here. And OCX went over on a 200% climb yesterday. It went on a 200% climb yesterday on OCX. And I still think OCX has a lot of potential. And I still think OCX could go on a very big time rip. But the stock started falling right here, and then it started moving its way back on up. I'm looking for a continuation breakout for this stock to rip, pop, and continue to move. And I got in on this play at the price of 536 was my cost basis. And then the stock started moving on up, and it got up to 547. It just couldn't break 550, and that's when the stock started dropping back on down. So I was looking for the open, then get a nice big spike, then get a nice big breakout, then get a nice big rip, right? On U-shapes, what do we like to look for? When we have a U-shape pattern, I already drew this out a little bit earlier, but it doesn't matter if it's a U-shape breakout pattern or if it's a regular pattern. When we have our U-shape or U-shape breakout pattern or a red to green move, U-shape right here, what do we have? Usually, if we open up, let's say this is a red to green move, we open up right at this top resistance line, and open is what? Detailed resistance. We all know that. That's detailed resistance. So that's going to hold as a resistance line. Now, when we break this down, guys, we could break this down into a couple different areas, right? We could break it down into the A wall, at the D. Now, where do you want to buy? Again, you never want to buy on the A wall, right? Why? Because if the stock is falling, it could possibly, just dump on off. And that could possibly lead to a very big crack. So you don't ever want to buy there. So again, do you want to buy in the B wall? Again, B wall is a little bit tough. B wall is a little bit tough because the stock is still a little bit on the fade, and it could start possibly dumping on off right there. So we really don't want to buy that either. Where I usually like to buy is after the stock, falls, starts finding support, and then on the C wall right here. That's where I usually like to buy the stock for the run up, break of the D, and then all of a sudden it keeps going on up. Usually, again, what also happens is on these type of plays, what do we usually see? Is if the stock, starts forming the U-shaped pattern, we usually at least get, up towards that high of the resistance line. We usually get towards, like this mark. And even if it starts falling back on down, we can still lock out, usually for some sort of profit. In this case, I had 10,000 shares, so I had a lot. So it was very tough for me to get out of all these plays as I saw the stock falling. But it did help me just because I was in on the C wall instead of buying at the top at 547. It still helped me out a ton. And I lost $400, which really isn't that much on a 10,000 shares because every penny is $100. So obviously that's pretty crazy. So what do we have right here? Again, entry on OCX 538, 537, 536, 537. Then I got out at 539, 538, 536, 534, 531, 529. So I lost again $400 on this trade, but at the same time, it could have been a lot worse with 10,000 shares. Even if I was holding right now, I would be down $1,300 on OCX. So, when you trade big, you have to have tight stop losses. So OCX, I like this play still. I think this one could still go on a big time rip. I think this one could still go on a very big time pop. But at the same time, you know what? Right now, it just did not happen, unfortunately. But, not too bad on the day. Still was able to make about $1,500, and I know a ton of you guys made money this morning, especially everyone here in pre-market. Wake up earlies. Yeah, wake up early. That's where you guys are going to be able to bank huge. Awesome job today. We got one more afternoon, or we got 2 more afternoons, 1 more morning of January, and then we're off into the February market. So very exciting stuff, guys. Very exciting stuff. We'll see what's going to be coming up in the near future. We still have lunch hours, and we have this afternoon. I'm still watching OCX. I'm still watching CODX, and I'm still watching a couple different plays as well as, anything can go. Your big time rip, your big time profit, maybe just a couple hours away. Stay fired up, stay excited, looking forward to seeing what's going to be coming up in the near future.